Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once in a lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like minded liberty lover, visit freedomlovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So, Patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States.fm network. This is the final hour, the hour about love. And as I said many times, love is a big word. You know, you can love your wife, you can love your mother, you can love God. And I always say that love is the most powerful weapon that we have against evil. Today I would like to talk about loving our brothers and sisters, human beings, Americans in this case, and neighbors, because things are happening. Evil is flourishing. You know why evil flourishes? Because unfortunately not enough good people, they're ready to stand up. That's why. Probably now you think, after all, it's not happening to me. Why should I bother to know what's happening to my next neighbor or to my other fellow American out there? They always start like that. Tyranny, that's the way it's going to start to creep in. They will start first, with people that have a different interest. For example, they started with the ranchers. Remember last year, the Bundys, that family? After all, maybe you don't eat cows. Why do you care about that? Or maybe you're not a Mormon. Why should you care about that? You know what? Doesn't matter. This is not about religion. This is not about the fact if you may eat or not cow, or you may believe in cuddling and grazing fees. This is about that today it's happening to them. Tomorrow may happen to you. It's happening that is called tyranny, that we all fellow Americans, we all fellow humans, and we should be involved at least to know what's going on. And when somebody especially is in danger, just because of his political ideas, just because exercising the basic individual rights enumerated in our Bill of Rights, and try to, let's say, accomplish that type of goal that we're supposed to all be, at least, I don't want to say connected, but let's say we have a constitution that's supposed to be the supreme law of the land. And now, just because you believe in that concept, you may be declared a domestic terrorist. So that's the point. In this hour of love today, I want to bring back a guest that I had several times. He's one of the Bundy's sons, and his name exactly is Ammon. And why I want to bring him today? Because more important than every time, I really believe something's happening. I believe that the federal government needs to show who's boss, and went like the mafia. There is a point that they may go away for a moment, but they will be back. And they will be back when less you expect it. And according to what I heard today, is witnessing, there is something very disturbing going on. I don't want to spoil the surprise. I want him to say exactly what's going on with him and with another family that I really believe they need our help. At least to listen, at least to learn what's going on with them. We cannot just go back to our life and think everything's okay because it's not happening in front of our front door. Because after all, it will be happening also there if we don't do something now. Ammon Bundy, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Ammon. Thank you for coming back. I watched your video. It was kind of disturbing because normally you don't go out like that. You're pretty much more private and you try to keep things under control. You don't go for false alarms. When I saw that video, I said, you know what? I really believe something bad. It's at least is brewing there. Can you please tell pretty briefly the situation? Who is this other family that you've been talking to, and why they are also in danger?
Well, the family that I've been working with or talking to is the Hammond family. They're out of just 53 miles out of Burns, Oregon. They have a ranch there. It's Susie and Dwight Hammond, and then their son, Stephen. And Susie and Dwight now are both 74 years old, so we're talking about they mostly passed the ranch on to their son, Stephen. But for the last decade or more, they have been viciously attacked by the federal government, Bureau of Land Management, the Fish and Wildlife Service, because they want their ranch. It is right adjacent to the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge.
Wow.
They also have private property up on the slopes of the Steen Mountains, and the federal government is desirous in taking their ranch. And the Hammonds have refused to sell them their ranch. They refuse to be intimidated in the taking of their ranch for many reasons. And so now the federal government has been very aggressive and predatory in taking their ranch.
Now, question. I read the story, and I remember that all the excuse that they had, I mean, the federal government had an excuse that this ranch, the Hammond family, was burning, it's called control burning, some part of the BLM. By the way, the BLM burns all day long in Arizona here, with chemicals, the accelerants that are really bad for the health. But when they do it, it's fine. And we're supposed to shut up and smoke it. But instead, when, let's say, a private slave, like, this poor man, tried to do something, by the way, there were no damages to property, what I read, and there were no damages to anybody. So it was just a burning. He got condemned to how many years in jail?
Well, they were sentenced to Stephen, the son, was sentenced to 12 years.
Oh my God!
Or excuse me, 12 months, and the father was sentenced to 3 months. They were also fined $400,000.
Oh my God!
And they were forced to sign a first right of refusal over to the federal government, meaning that if they sold, they were forced to sign a document that says they had to sell it to the federal government.
Oh my God!
They did spend that time in prison, federal prison, and they got out. Felt that, even though it was completely wrong and that they did nothing wrong, they felt that they were through this and they could go back to ranch. But that wasn't enough for the federal government because it didn't get what their objective was, which is to take the ranch. So they went back for what they call a resentencing, and now are forcing the Hammonds to go back to prison for 5 more years.
Wait a second. Resentencing. Normally, I remember that in America, differently from Europe, where I'm from, Italy, we have double jeopardy. I mean, they cannot put you back in jail for the same crime. Am I wrong? Am I missing something here?
No, the Fifth Amendment basically establishes that the federal government or no government can charge you for the same crime twice. And they are certainly doing that here.
Wow.
Even though, again, this is just symptoms of a bigger problem, but they are certainly putting the Hammonds back into prison, and they don't call it double jeopardy. They call it resentencing. But the American people are not foolish.
Yeah, at the same time,
that's double jeopardy.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, you know what? This is the point that they're doing in front of our face. They're committing crimes in front of our face. It's like a rabid dog or a coyote that sees that there are no repercussion, and you start the first night to come and eat maybe one of your cows, and then the next night, if you don't, take care of business, they will come back in a pack and they will eat the rest of your pack of cows or the rest of your animals, okay? That's the bottom line. They're like a vicious beast, but cowards, and they try slowly to see how much is our line in the sand in this case. Now, this is very disturbing because I realize more than ever that what they were trying to do to you and your father and your family there in Nevada, this is a common disease from this federal government. They're following an agenda that many of us, at least many of my listeners, are aware of. It's called the complete control of our natural resources through Agenda 21. They may not call it that, but the idea that we, the people, we regular people, we're supposed not to have the right to use land, resources, water, and they want us out of these areas. So they will find every way they can. And I tell you, for me, I tell you something very strong now. It's me speaking, nobody else. I know they're listening, by the way, and I feel very sorry for you guys because if you work for the devil or if you work for this case for this type of Gestapo, you are a Gestapo too. There is no excuse. You're not just doing your duty. You are just a bunch of evil people that they chose your path. And you're worse than the mafia. I tell you, the mafia really realized they had much more honor, at least much more dignity, and at least you can shoot them back. Let the best man win. In this case, you are cowards because you have a badge and you think you're untouchable. I got news for you. You push a cat in a cat in the corner, you may find a lion pretty soon. So let's see exactly what's going on more in details. And I'm not trying here to advocate for any violence. I just say, guys, we need to start to realize that they're doing this now to this family, to the Hammond. They did that to the Bundys. They're trying, and they will try back and then ask you some questions about this is not going to be over. It's going to be after all of us. As I was saying before, we must get involved now. If you believe in love, this is the way we're going to start to use our brotherly love. Love your neighbor. That's the way we're going to start to do. I don't want just people going to church and, praying all day and start to feel like you're a saint. It's time to stand up and facing evil as a Christian would do, not being afraid. I'm not asking you to be violent, but at least do not be afraid. Now, back to you. I know something very disturbing. You were very much friends, or at least try to help him out with your experience. And then you received a call from the Hammond, I think it was the father or the son, I'm not sure, but from one of the members of the family, and they told them what? What they told you?
Yeah, so after what happened is when the Hammonds have been literally abused and broken down, and they're very tired. They've spent a fortune on trying to defend themselves in a corrupt court. Upwards to over $500,000 in legal fees.
Oh my God!
And very tired. And all that's happened to them is they've just lost more and more of their rights. They've lost 3/4 of their ranch have lost their water rights. They've lost their they've had to pay excessive fines and have been put into extreme financial difficulty many times through this period. And now they've lost their liberties. They've actually spent many months in federal prison.
Wow.
And so the federal government had almost accomplished what they wanted to accomplish with the Hammonds, almost beat them to the point where they were almost ready to give up. And I went in there because I just heard about them, and I felt divinely driven to go and find out what's going on with my brothers and sisters in Burns, Oregon, and with the Hammonds. And I went and I spent the day with them on the ranch, and then I spent the next day with them in Burns there, and they were able to explain to me everything, pretty much that was going on. And being somebody who had gone through it, I understood it very easily, and they were able to explain to me quite a bit. And I explained to them that the American people came to our defense and restored our rights to us, and that we are underneath the protection of the American people right now, and I'm talking about the Bundy family. And they began to grab hold of that hope. They began to say, I wonder if the American people will do the same thing for us, because the legal systems are unjust, and they've done nothing but abuse us through them.
Yeah.
They've been the excuse of, that's been the justification of all this abuse, or the means in which a lot of this abuse has come about. And so they began to take hope that the American people may also defend them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked with the Hammonds for 2 weeks. I visited their home multiple times.
Wow.
And I could see their spirits lifted and their hope be restored. And then what happened was, on Friday, the 20th, I believe it was, there was a message sent to the Hammonds through their attorney from the federal agency that if they did not continue, or if they did not discontinue communicating with me, that there would be physical harm through a raid, and they would be detained early and taken to federal prison.
Wow. Now say again, this is the attorney that called you, right? Not even the Hammond anymore.
Well, the attorney didn't call me.
Okay, called the Hammond.
Dwight Hammond called me and relayed the information that came from their attorney.
Wow. And this is very interesting now. It's getting more and more. For the federal government to go to an attorney and say that there will be physical repercussion, we're talking about really a crime, criminals, okay, organized crime. We're talking about not even just anymore put you in jail for something that supposedly you did. We're talking about going there and we break your legs or we do some sort of a harm, under which rule of law that applies? Under what type of excuse would be that? I mean, just pure tyranny.
However, though, we've allowed them to come and break down our doors and raid our homes for so long now that they think that it's completely justified.
Yeah.
And so that's what they did. They said, basically, if you don't stop communicating with, Ammon Bundy or the Bundys, but they did say Ammon Bundy, if you don't stop communicating with me, we're going to come in and raid your homes, and possibly somebody might get hurt or killed.
Wow. This is so important.
And then we're going to detain you early and take you into federal prison early.
I mean, detain you early means that they're going to go to jail anyway. I mean, they didn't say we're going to let you go. We're going to detain you early.
No, but I mean, here we have the holidays. It'll be the last. They're also trying to understand. They're now the mother, who is 74 years old, and Stephen's wife are the ones that are going to have to run the ranch for 5 years. They're trying to frantically prepare for those two women to run 600 head of cattle after they've been depressed to the point where they barely are surviving. They're trying to prepare for that, and the federal government is threatening that they're going to end the time that they've been given to prepare.
Wow. So I understand now. They're going to go to jail anyway. They got 5 years to spend. I mean, this is insane. And now this is so important. I don't know. I have just a little humble radio show, and I hope anybody out there who's listening can share this information. This is not about me. It's not about the show. It's about this message. This is probably for me one of the most evil things I heard since I came to this country almost 20 years, 18 years ago. Now, I would like to say something. This can be stopped. This can be stopped. These bastards, and I hope they're hearing, what they count on, that's why they're so afraid of you. Because they're afraid that what you did with your family to make this public is like they are like a pack of roaches, okay? Think about these are like dirty roaches. They love to, grow up and reproduce themselves and have fun and feast like devils in the darkness. That's what they are. But when you put a spotlight on the roaches, what happens, especially in summertime? They start to run around. That's the point. We need to put a spotlight on exactly what happened to this family, because I don't think enough people know in this country. I mean, after all, even with your tribulation that you had, you were kind of blessed because you were under the national spot, okay? You with your family. This Hammond family, not everybody knows about it. Must understand now we have law-abiding people, working people. They're going to spend 5 years in hardcore. We're talking about federal prison, where real criminals are. And why? Go check it out. Just because they were doing some cleaning with the fire. By the way, the federal government, the BLM, burned all day long in many parts of Arizona. And when you complain, they laugh at you. Okay? And that's the point. 5 years. I don't think even a rapist gets 5 years in jail. Okay? That's the bottom line. So, and now the story gets worse and worse. We're talking about intimidation. We're talking about First Amendment, the right to assemble, the right to speak freely. What is gone? I mean, this is insane. And now, by the way, you're already on the target. I mean, you're already a domestic terrorist, the last time I checked, especially at the airport. I'm being sarcastic. My point now, you got also some sort of extra for you, because what else? The message, for what I understood, that you are in danger too. Am I right or wrong?
Well, yeah, that was part of the message that Dwight relayed to me, that he felt that my life was in danger too. He actually was to the point that he felt that they were going to put a bullet in his head, and he worried about my life as well. That was his words exactly.
Wow.
After I got off the phone with Dwight, which is Dwight's the father, he's 74 years old. After I got off the phone with him, I called Susie. She's also 74 years old, and she confirmed to me everything that Dwight said. And she also said that we fear for our lives, they'll put a bullet in our head.
Wow.
And
can we go public with the name of the attorney? Is a public? The guy is a public. You know the name of the attorney?
Yeah, I have it here, but let me see if I can get it quick enough. But I don't know that I can pull it up fast enough for this conversation.
Take your time. Meanwhile, I'm asking questions. When you can. First of all, I have a question for you, and just for the record, I know very well. I think I know you enough with your moral beliefs and religious belief, but just want to be on the record. You, first of all, are you in pretty good shape right now? Did you have a physical check? Your heart is okay? Any type of diseases, strange things like going on with your health? Number one.
No, I'm very healthy. Very healthy.
Good. Are you ever, planning to commit any type of taking your life, suicide, how they call it?
Absolutely not. I'm a very happy person that knows the Lord loves me.
Okay, this is important. At least we are on the record. And why? Because for history, we must start to show what's going on here, the criminal patterns of this organization. They're supposed to be to protect our rights. Instead, they are just destroying our rights, destroying our families, destroying our lives. Sorry. And maybe among you guys that you're listening, some of you that may be good people. You think at least you're good people. But maybe you need to start to realize that you're working for evil, because there is no excuse. When somebody's trying to intimidate somebody with violence, just because we're talking about exercising the First Amendment to talk in assembly, right there, there is no more excuse. You lost all the credibility right there. And did you find maybe the name of the attorney? Because I want all this is public as much as possible. People can figure it out themselves and double check.
Well, the one thing that you have to realize is that because it's a federal court, they're forced to get two different attorneys. Mm-hmm. So Stephen has his own attorney, and Dwight and Susie have their own attorney. I don't understand that, but that's one of the federal rules, I guess, because they really want to make sure that you're paying lots of attorney fees. So
exactly. Wow.
You can't get one attorney to represent both of you. You have to get separate attorneys.
Yeah.
So let me see if I could pull up.
And why you looking for the attorney? Why you want the attorney? Just because I want to give names. This is not a show about feelings, opinions. It's about facts. And I invite everybody out there to do not believe what we're talking here, to go to verify, do your own researches, and then look at yourself in the mirror tonight when you realize what we're talking is serious and it's real. As an American, if you're a veteran, if you're a former police officer, if you took an oath to defend this Constitution, but even if you didn't do that, if you are just a person that you consider yourself a decent human being, you know that now evil is destroying somebody else's life. You know that evil is having a great party time because they think they can get away with murder. We need to remind to evil that it's like, it's these little rats, after all, there are just few of them and millions of us. The moment that just 10%, 5% of us Americans, we take awareness that we the people, we're supposed to be the rulers in this country, and these people are supposed to work for us, not bossing us around like the lords and kings during the Middle Ages. We would take this country back like that in 1 second without firing a shot. Just showing up at some of our neighbors' doors, like what we did with the Bundys. We can do the same now with anybody out there in our neighborhood that who needs help. Stand up. Show that you are not afraid. Show that we have a First Amendment, we have a Second Amendment, we have the rest of the Bill of Rights, and we're not going to give it away without a fight. That's the bottom line. So now I would like to ask you something. You're not talking anymore with Hammond, I guess, right?
Well, what happened was for several days there was no communication. But I did call them last week before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Susie answered the phone. She was a little nervous, but she did talk to me for a little bit. Mm. And then Susie left me a message on my phone basically saying that they were leaving Burns to go to family for Thanksgiving and that they would be in communication after Thanksgiving. But I have yet to, so that's the only communication that we had. Now, Susie, she's a really strong woman, and she's a really wonderful woman. And what I mean by that is she understands a lot of these things. She's done a tremendous amount of research and knows and understands what's going on. And she wants to stand, but her family is quite frightened. And in respect to, family decisions, she, has decided to end communications as well. Although I know that her desire and Dwight's desire is to try to get to the bottom of this and stand up for their rights. So they just need a little more time, and we need to keep loving them and understanding what they've gone through over the past decade.
Now this is it's a nightmare. Honestly, I learned about the Hammond relatively recently, and when I thought that with you guys was pretty much the worst, I realized that you are just one of many, and unfortunately, not other people have enough attention. We need to bring attention to any one of us who is going through this. I call it tribulation. This is a complete torture. Okay, this is a torture. This is not justice. This is not due process. This is pure evil of act and cowardice. Of unfortunately somebody supposed to work for us. They are completely becoming our masters. Now, with you and your family, I don't think it's over. I mean, besides that, you always they're never gonna forget about you. What's going on at the ranch with your dad down in Mesquite, Nevada? Anything new? Anything going on?
No, the only thing that's happened, because after we run the federal government out of there, remember there was at least five agencies that were involved that we know for sure. We run them out of the area and warned them never to come back, and we have not seen them since. Wow. Except they've sent a contractor in to do some surveying on the waters. Wow. And the contractors got scared and actually, because I guess there was some kids out spotlighting and shooting like clear over the hill from them. And so, they got all scared and ran off. When you're
guilty, you are scared. You know that. That's part of a human behavior.
Yeah. So then they reported back that the Bundys were shooting at them.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Of course, the sheriff did a small investigation and easily proved that there was no such thing, that there was no tire tracks within a mile from where they were at. No fresh tire tracks.
Yeah.
So other than that, that's the only thing that we have heard. And of course, there's the nonstop threats through the media that they keep breathing out, even from the Democratic Party, clear up in Washington D.C. continues to, threaten. But we feel quite safe, and I'll tell you why. One is the good Lord's looking out for us, and He continues to do that, and made us a promise. But also, that promise is being fulfilled through the American people. The American people have much more power than they can ever imagine. Like you said earlier, they could end this problem in just a few days if they would, and if they would unite. The people is where the power is, and their power, meaning the federal government's illegal, unauthorized power, if you will, is actually quite pathetic when it comes to comparison to the American people.
It's like a paper tiger. I mean, the point is, it's like, the Wizard of Oz. Remember the movie? Behind the curtains, all that steaming and screaming and yelling. After all, it's a little dwarf, okay? That's what they are. And bottom line, they understand that at the end of the day, there will be a judgment on this earth and after. And I really believe, this is since the hour of love. I know I'm not here to preach. I'm just a regular sinner. But I tell you something. The point is, if you are a person who believes in good, I don't even say if you're a Christian. If you're a Christian, if you're any religion that you believe in good and evil, you understand that what we are facing now as a humanity, and in this case in America, because we are talking about an American tragedy here, this is about not just some sort of a political corruption or some scumbags in government trying to be kind of little bit too much. No, this is a battle of good against evil that right now we are fighting and facing in this dimension, in this reality. And regardless what you think, even if you don't do anything, you think, after all, I'm not doing anything bad, I'm here. Guess what? Your silence is consent. The moment that you don't speak up, I'm not asking you to get your rifle and go out and start a revolution. I'm just start to speak up. Start to use that phone number. Your phone is our phone. Call these bastards of the BLM. Call these people that they're trying to, it's millions of us. Even if just we make like 100,000 phone calls to the corrupted judge. I really believe that any judge who is taking care of these type of cases, they have it in their pockets. We need to show him that we are here, we are watching. And we are taking side. And we choose. This is our time to choose, because whatever happens in this dimension, one day we will be judged. And we're going to be asked, what did you do when you have the chance to help your fellow humans, your fellow neighbor? What did you do? Did you at least stand up and speak up? Maybe you were too afraid to be put on that list, or maybe you wanted to keep your, life normal. And just, when people, they were screaming in the back and they were carrying them out in their trucks on the train, you were just silent. Like what happened to the Jews or whatever other groups in Russia. There is a book I wish everybody could read. Archipelago Gulags. Okay, it's something that people by Solzhenitsyn or whatever, I don't pronounce it right, but I will post the link. Archipelago Gulag. Okay, this is the book that shows what happened in Russia when all this corruption and all this tyranny started to creep in, and they started to get people one by one out of their homes in the middle of the night, and they had the chance to stop these aggressors. If only people would be involved, only people would open the window and start to throw probably pee and plates and dishes on their heads. It would be a start, okay? It's millions of us, don't forget. They want to make us believe that they are more than us. Is not the case. It's millions. All we have to do is stand up and show that we have a name, a face, and screw you. We are not afraid. We're going to be dead anyway. We're all going to die. That's the bottom line. Are you going to die as a coward, or you're going to go away, and maybe we're going to avoid to die immediately? Because I really believe more we are empowered with our courage, we must show to the enemies that we're not going to go away unless they're going to become aggressive. I believe that. Before I get too much emotional here, I want to give you the floor. Whatever you want to say about, whatever you want to ask to people to do, you got the floor. I give you whatever time you want. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to just acknowledge that when I first found out about the Hammonds, I said to myself, man, there's a lot of injustices out there. And I'm very busy in trying to provide for my family, very busy in trying to continue to defend my family and our rights. And I thought to myself that, man, here's another family it's happening to, but what can I do? And that night, I laid on my bed, getting ready to go to bed. I was tired. And the Lord made it very clear to me that I must get involved, that He is not pleased with what has happened to the Hammonds, and that it is my duty and my responsibility to stand for my brothers and sisters. And so I got up that night feeling very motivated, and I began to study. And I found out many, many things that have happened to the Hammond family, and how they've been abused, and literally how they have just struggled and suffered for over a decade.
Wow.
Through the hands of our federal government.
Wow. This is
and then I felt, again, motivated to do certain things. My point here is that we must stand and defend our neighbors. And if we are to express the love, as you have put it, if we are to express love, it is coming to the defense of our neighbors and our loved ones when they are under distress. And the Hammonds certainly fit that category. And I intend to do everything that is within my ability to do to restore the Hammonds' rights back to them. I also know that what will happen to the Hammonds will be a type and a shadow of what will happen to the rest of Americans if we allow this to happen. Exactly. And it is time to stand, and it is time to be aware. And when the call is made, it is time to unite. Yes. And we make this right.
Exactly. I completely believe what you say is so important. And I ask a prayer to all the listeners out there. You know, I'm not a big guy. I'm just a regular guy that I'm doing this really as act of love. Sometimes I don't even want to be here. But I tell you, if you're listening to this broadcasting, wherever you are, it's going to be on the radio or on the internet, on the YouTube, I ask you a favor. If you really want to forget about it, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But if you have really compassion for another human being, try to start to think this is not just some movie. These are talking about real people, real families, a grandmother, a grandfather, kids, grandkids, people going to jail for no crime, really. and think about 10 years of their life destroyed. All their saving, they're going to be on the street. Nothing. Talking about drama, people may be dying. I mean, I'm amazed how much strength they had for 10 years to keep all their soul together. And some of them didn't jump in the river, seriously, because this is so stressful to deal with that. I ask you this favor if you're listening. First of all, document yourself. Don't believe me. Don't believe Ammon. Just document all the information we gave you. Do a research about this family. Learn about their life for a moment, okay? You may care so much about people coming from another country, that's fine. But care about, first of all, also our fellow Americans dying and crying here on the soil, okay? Please, number one. Number two, after you realize all this is real, I'm not asking you to do anything, but just start to share this information, maybe with your brother, with your mother, with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, with your neighbors. I want this going out. Everybody should know what's happening to this family. And then at that point, you follow your heart, and sometimes even just to make a phone call, maybe make a donation. I'm sure there is a way you can answer to this. Maybe you can call, find out exactly which agency is after them. Starting from the BLM, I'm sure they're involved there, of course. That's one of the main problems. Start to let them know you have a voice. Say, what are you doing to them? You may think that your voice is just one. Guess what? It's 300 million of us. Even if it was just 10,000 people, we'd be ready to spend a weekend as a vacation time. Instead of going to Disneyland, let's go everybody to the Oregon and camp on this. How many acres do they have, Ammon, on this land?
They actually have on their private property, they actually have a couple thousand acres.
Well, we have enough land to camp out, okay? Let's start to let's start to plan on our next budget for the family vacation. Let's go to Oregon and let's bring tents and guitars and whatever other recreational tools you want to do. Of course, we ask first the permission to the Hammond, and let's offer them like we offer to your family to come to visit you. And you say, of course. Let's offer that we are here alive, and maybe we can spend a vacation time there with you. And it would be nice to see maybe even just 1,000, 2,000 people showing up in front of this ranch. And then let's start to show to the federal government that, you know what, if you want to put us under 6 feet under, it's bad. You better bring a lot of shovels because it's a lot of us, okay? And I'm not here to try to be like a John Wayne guy because I'm a regular guy. But I tell you, I'm not your slave. I didn't come all the way to America to lick your boots. That's the bottom line. Now, listen, Emma, I pray for you and your family, and I really thank you to being out there and going to Oregon, and you got enough problems out of your family, take care, and I appreciate what you're doing, of course, also for them. But I really pray that the other people, the American people, they're getting more involved, and I hope so. Do they have a website, the Hammond? Do they have a website or a blog where people can find out more about them?
Yeah, well, we've used the Bundy blog spot, so it's the bundyranch.blogspot.com.
Okay.
And I would direct people to go to the facts and events.
Okay.
And read all of them, because it basically takes from the beginning of basically the ranches in that area down till the present time. And yeah, it might be it's several pages, but I implore you to read it, to understand what's going on. And there's other supporting letters and things in there too. But the facts and events at the bundyranch.blogspot.com.
Very good. Listen, guys. First of all, thank you, listeners, for taking the time to try to inform yourself. But I want to thank Emma for you, for all you're doing, and your family. My best to you and all your brothers and sisters, and of course, to your mom and dad. And we are here, maybe just regular people, but guess what? This is the time where regular people needs to be stepping up and doing extraordinary things. And the most extraordinary thing we can do is start not being afraid to face evil. That's it. That's it. I have a song I want to dedicate to the Hammond and to everybody out there who's not afraid to stand up for good. And the song is called I Am Not Afraid. Ammon, please keep me posted if there is anything going on, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. This is the hour about love, and this is exactly what we need to do. Let's start to use our love to expose evil and not be afraid. I Am Not Afraid, musical lyrics by myself, Luca Zanna. And by the way, this show is here because it's an act of love, and you can help out. With just 99 cents, you can download any of my songs, and I appreciate it, so I can be taking my time and dedicate my energy and everything I can just to be sharing this information. By the way, it's not fun, okay? I wish I could be doing other things, honestly. It doesn't really pay me enough to do this. It doesn't pay me at all. But the point is not about the money anymore. This is about our life and freedom. Okay, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. I am not afraid because you are with me. Na 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 na. 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 I'm not afraid. 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 Na 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 na. I'm not. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to face the truth. I can see evil in the eyes. Are you ready to stand for good? There's more than just this life. We are living in crazy times. If you believe it's a crime, I'm not afraid. Na, 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 na. I'm not afraid. Na, 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 na. I'm not afraid. Na, 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 na. I'm not afraid. Na, 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 na. I'm not afraid. I can smell pain in the air. People are lost in despair. Dark clouds are on the way. I pray for courage every day. I will fight till my last breath. You give me strength to smile at death. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid because you're with me. I'm not afraid because I believe in you. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
Okay, this is the final part of today's show. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm stressed out. There is so much going on. They've been today completely spraying the crap out of us in Mojave County, especially in Golden Valley, with chemtrails, weather modification. You have no idea, guys, or maybe you do because you live here too. And I know many of my listeners, they have been unfortunately understanding the same reality. It's happening also in your country, in Europe, in Switzerland, in Germany, in Ireland, in other parts of these United States. So it's very sad because it's not just something that is not that cute to see because they are trying to obscure the sun. It's also something you breathe and you feel it. It's in your body. It makes you feel really tired. I mean, this is something they're killing us. As simple as that. So if you don't know about it, it's time you really Google it and you find it because we have not much time. Weather modification / chemtrails are real. Okay, I'm sick and tired of all these politicians out there that they know the truth, but they're afraid to speak up because maybe they want to think that they can become ridiculous, or they try to, just be afraid of what people can say about it, or could be, I don't know, guys. I mean, seriously, Sonny Borelli, why are you afraid to speak up? You know the truth. Why? You've been here, Representative Sonny Borelli, you've been on my show with expert Rosalind Peterson for 2 hours. You told me that you understand that something's going on, and now you, after 2 years, you still don't want to speak up. And so Senator Kelly Ward, I'm so sad for you guys, but we have no time anymore to play politically correctness. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm tired about this, but today I really feel it in my body. Now, back to what's going on. This is the final hour. It's about love. This show, unfortunately, because of all these events that happened in the last few days, is being a little bit reshaped. San Bernardino County is not just the worst thing happened to us. It's happening much more. Our freedom of speech now is under attack. I don't know if you heard our Attorney General, that piece of trash called Loretta Lynch, vows to prosecute those who use anti-Muslim speech, and between quotes, that edges toward violence. I mean, now you know very well, the Muslim can say everything they want in their mosque. They can say everything they want. But now people, just because we are talking about our mind, honestly, all I want to say is talking about fucks. I like to talk about fucks. And I'll tell you right now more about Muslim. I'm not going to be feeling intimidated by you, Loretta Lynch, piece of trash, that you are probably the worst. The other one was bad, but I think you're even worse than the other one that we had. It makes completely sense. This is not more our government. This is a pack of coyotes. You're a pack of communist bastards working for the New World Order that you try now to completely destroy our Constitution, Bill of Rights. So I'm not going to be shut up. Let me tell you now what I think about the Muslims, okay? I read the letter. I want to be very composed because I'm not trying to, I don't want to talk bad about anybody. Honestly, I love everybody that respect each other. Seriously, I have no problems. You can do whatever you want. You can love the cat. You can worship your cat. You can worship your dog. You can worship yourself. I don't care. But I draw the line when your religion says in your book that I am an inferior, that I am somebody that I'm supposed to be converted, or I'm supposed to be paying a tax. I have a problem with that. That's the problem. So let me use this. I published a letter to the editor just about a couple of weeks ago on the King Madeli Minor, and of course I was about my letter about good Christian, good Muslim. It was very based on facts, okay? And I got the letter back exactly last Sunday, December the 2nd, 2015, by a lady called Mrs. French, Linda French, and she writes, and I write back my little, rebuttal, how you say it. I'm answering to Linda French letter to the editor of December the 2nd, 2015, where she mentions my name. Dear Mr. French, you stated in your letter to the editor this, between quotes. Obviously, Zanna knows next to nothing about Islam. How dare he spout such blithering invective? How dare the minor print it? Okay, I wrote back to the minor. Hopefully they publish this letter as an answer to this lady. First of all, thanks God, here in Mojave County, Arizona, we are still in America, not Europe or some Islamic countries where I could not exercise my First Amendment for fear of persecution. Mrs. French. So thanks the King Madeli Minor to allow me to share my opinion based on facts, not just on opinion, on feelings about the Muslim religion. Here are the facts, you like it or not. Directly from the Holy Scriptures of those two different religions, compared to different belief systems according to the preaching of their prophets. I remind you that Muslims are told that their prophet Muhammad is the most beautiful pattern of conduct and example for mankind to follow. This is directly from the Quran, 33:21, okay? As well as the exalted standard of character, Quran 68:4. Also, Christians are told to emulate Jesus, a pacifist and servant, and walk even as he walked. That was John 2.6. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not here a preacher. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I couldn't care less. Normally, I keep my religion for myself. Seriously. On top, I'm a sinner. I'm the last person I can preach to anybody. But let me tell you this. I'm talking about this now, comparing to those two religions, especially with a scientific, humanistic mind, and I've just proved facts. And what is for me the main point? that we have a serious problem here, regardless then that these idiots, these pawns, these extremists, as you want to call them, I don't call them extremists, people that act like they act, they're doing just following what the Quran says. That's the bottom line. And I'll make the case right now. But my point is, I'm sick and tired, seriously, to be politically correct. And I hear politically correctness all day long. That's the bottom line. Because I don't want to think that we are facing a Trojan horse in our country, that when we wake up in a few years from now, these people, they don't have assimilation. They don't have some sort of, how you want to say, understanding and accepting other religions. Unfortunately, now I'll prove my case. So, ignorance out there, Mrs. Linda French, how you called, you are an ignorant. And I'll prove you the case. Don't call me an ignorant, because I'll bring you on the show if you want to. I'll welcome you here. But let me bring you facts, okay? And the bottom line here, I'm not here to preach. I'm just here as a with a scientific mind to analyze these facts. And then you will tell me if, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because I wish it wasn't true, the religion of peace, as Bush used to call it, is something is compatible with the free society. Here we go. So, first part, I will cast arrow into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Therefore, strike off their heads, cut their heads, and strike off every fingertip of them. This message of peace and love is from Allah. Quran 8:12. Okay? This is their main God that tells you what to do. Then, fight everyone in the way of Allah and kill those who disbelieve in Allah. So I do not believe in Allah. Supposedly, a good Muslim supposed to kill me. Simple as that. This is from Muhammad, IBN, Ishaq, I have no idea what it means, 992. It's one of their books, okay? Then Muhammad said, Allah does not love those who reject Islam. Quran 30:45, okay? And they're different parts. Instead, Jesus, and as I said, I'm not trying to preach Christianity, I'm just comparing, okay? Two different things, says, thou shalt love thy neighbor as yourself. Jesus, Matthew 5:14. Muhammad stoned women for adultery, Muslim 42:06. Jesus said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, John 8:7. Okay, so let's compare reality here. Muhammad permitted stealing from unbelievers, Bukhari 44:668. Jesus said, you shall not steal, Matthew 19:18. Muhammad permitted lying, Sahih Muslim 63:03 or Bukhari 49:857. Go find out. Okay? Jesus said, you should not bear false witness. Matthew 19:18. Let me continue because I want to really irritate this freaking, can I say bitch? I'm sure I can. Loretta Lynch, you are a bitch, okay? You are a fascist bitch. And don't tell me that I cannot say what I need to say here, okay? This is not Nazi Germany yet. Anyway, there is much more. Muhammad married 13 wives and kept sex slave. Bukhari 5:268. Jesus was a celibate, okay? Muhammad slept with a 9-year-old child. Sahih Muslim 33:09. Jesus did not have sex with sex children. And much more going on, okay? Much more going on. So, dear Linda, I'm not pointing fingers to anybody. I do not claim adherence to Christianity. I keep my religious belief private. But I'm here to share the facts of a reality that, unfortunately, the politically correctness of the media and many politicians will never allow to share. Guess what? I'm not going to shut up because of you, Loretta Lynch, of you, Linda French, because you have no clue what's going on here. I prove you with facts. This is a reality that can become the biggest Trojan horse against all the principles of a free society. I did my research, and I'm unapologetic, and I stand by all the sources that I mentioned right now. Now, any one of you that disagree, I welcome you. And can you please show me the facts where I'm wrong with the sources that I just brought you? That's the bottom line. I'm just talking about facts. Now, another thing, to show how much these people, how they think, okay? I'm sure you're familiar with the Saudi Arabia. By the way, they are behind the ISIS. By the way, they are ISIS, in my opinion. And they just threatened to sue any Twitter in the world who compares them to ISIS. Guess what? I don't compare you to ISIS. You are ISIS. You find in ISIS. Saudi Arabia, pig king. Okay? Saudi Arabia is the worst place in the world that we are here. The average American out there, the politically correct person, the lefty that have no clue what's going on, they want to somehow defend this type of cult where if you were in Saudi Arabia, if you are gay, you would be stoned. Okay? If you're a woman, you would be treated like a dog, worse than a dog. And all these, liberal idiots out there, they have no freaking clue. But don't get me wrong, I understand very well it. Unfortunately, all these ISIS or extremists, as you want to call them, they are not only funded by the Saudis and also by part of our government, but also they are used as pawns to create more destruction, to create more tyranny in our country. So it is not just them. They believe in this stuff. I believe that. And I just read you the book, their book. I'm sorry, guys. And, you may be a great person. If you are a Muslim and you're a great person, guess what? Good. You are a good person. But does it mean that you are a good Muslim? If you're a good Muslim, that's your book. And that scares the hell out of me, your book. I'm sorry. I'm reading the New Testament. And if some of you in the left, you think, oh, look at the Bible. The Bible is so many parts of violence. Guess what? That's why I'm talking about Christianity. With the New Testament, everything that came with Christ. And I read to you just part of his message of love. And I said, I'm not even here as a Christian. I'm here just as a person that is not dumb. And I'm trying today, in a humanistic way, try to compare two systems. Because I tell you, this is not just about philosophy. This is not just about, okay, let's talk about abstract concept. When these people will take over politically and by numbers, like in Europe, our political system, we will face a new middle age of tyranny and complete destruction of our Bill of Rights. That's what I'm concerned today. So anyway, guys, this is it. Today was a very tough show for me. I'm telling you, I had a lot of emotions and I'm tired and I wish we could talk about better things. Seriously. I need your help because I'm very tired. Seriously. If you want to continue me to be on the show, I need your help. Go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com. There is a section for gifts. You will see that confederate.gifts.us, or there is a section for music, or go to zanna.us, my music. I need your support because I'm really putting a lot of energy. It's really draining me physically and mentally. And sometimes I wish I just could go away. And maybe I would go away. I don't know. Maybe I just say, whatever, guys, you got to do it on your own. But I need your help because I really need your support. And also just, sometimes your moral support really helps. So anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for putting up with me. I want to leave you with a message of love. After all, here, we're all human beings. But I tell you, don't mess with me. Don't mess with my freedom. And don't tell me to shut up. Otherwise, I'm going to put your middle finger in between your eyes, okay? Thank you very much. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And don't forget to lovegunsfreedom.com. And God's willing, I will talk to you next Sunday.
You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network.